Bring Her Back is a 2025 Australian supernatural horror film directed by Danny and Michael Filippo. It stars Sally Hawkins, Billy Barrett, and Sarah Wong. The film follows two orphan siblings, Andy and Piper, who are placed with their new foster mother, Laura, played by Sally Hawkins, after their father's death. As they settle into Laura's home, they uncover a terrifying occult ritual related to her deceased daughter. I've been looking forward to this film for quite a while. I really enjoyed the Filippo brothers' first movie, Talk to Me. And this, it shares a similarity in the fact that it's about grief and trauma. But that's really the only thing that they do share together. I found this film to be a much more accomplished horror film than Talk to Me. And while I enjoyed Talk to Me, it didn't blow me away. I didn't think, wow, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Bring Her Back, however, has got a much more nuanced approach, and it's much more of a slow, I don't like to use the term slow burn, but it's very well paced, even though it is slowly paced. Sally Hawkins is fantastic in the film. Everyone that's in the movie is really, really great. The two kids are fantastic. The blind girl, I believe in real life she's partially blind, maybe in one eye, but here she's completely blind. And she's fantastic, really, really natural, and a very, very good talent to look out for. I thought she was really impressive, as was the young fella actor as well. I thought he was great. But Sally Hawkins, if you've seen her in her previous roles, obviously she's a dramatic actress, but she has done comedy and things in the past. Now, this is maybe closer to the character that she played in the 90s movies that you might have seen her in. Or even there's a touch of the character she plays in Paddington, and I believe probably very intentional. Now, at first she comes across, not strange, but she does come across a little eccentric, let's say that, and we don't initially know why, but our colleagues at work talk very highly of her. They say she's great. And the young kids, after the tragedy at the start of the film, then it's clear that they've sort of went back and forth between foster homes, but the foster home is selected to be Sally Hawkins' home. Now, at first, it seems like they're going to get split up, but they're very, very close. And even though they're not natural brother and sister, they've obviously become very close as they've grown up. No matter what home they seem to have been placed in, it's been lucky enough that they've been placed together. And they've got a really strong bond, a really strong relationship. So initially the two of them do end up going to Sally Hawkins' house. And it's obvious that Sally Hawkins prefers the young girl over the lad. His accommodation is nowhere near as impressive. And also how he gets treated is very dismissive. So she's very, even though she's accommodating to him, she's very dismissive of him for the most part at the start of the movie. And then it seems that they're starting to warm to each other. So as the story progresses, we do find that there's another child that she says is her son, but he's very quiet. He's very insular, and she says this is due, to mental health problems. So it's equated to that he might have like autism or something like that, and it's certainly, or ASD, he's certainly on the spectrum in some way. So the kids don't think really anything of it. They do try and speak to him, they try and be friendly with him. But it becomes clear that all isn't as it seems. Now, the title, as ambiguous as it is, it does say a lot about what the story is, and I don't really want to spoil it if you haven't seen it. It is coming out. It's going to be hitting digital soon, really. It got a limited release in the cinemas here. But the movie starts with some quite disturbing videotape images that appear to be of a ritual of sorts. And that opening gives you an indication that the film is going to be something that it isn't, because it really takes a turn towards, I'd say about the middle to the last third of the film. That's certainly in the last act. But in the meantime, there are a lot of disturbing images that happen. And these aren't obvious horror tropes that we see. There's a lot of things like that are incited towards the videos that we see at the start. There's a lot of sort of what appears to be like black magic symbolism. Certainly spirals and circles take the forefront of what's going on. But as a film and as a comprehensive story, it's a much more impressive film than what Talk to Me was. Talk to Me was a great debut, but for where the Filippo brothers started to how they've really handled this film, the cinematography is fantastic, the sound design is excellent, and the music is great. It really suits the piece. and it draws you into the atmosphere of the film itself. Now, it's quite singular. There's like quite limited settings. It's all more or less set at Sally Hawkins' house. But it never feels like an independent film. It feels like a much bigger film than what it is. And how the tone is handled and the nature of what the film is actually about, being about grief, is handled really, really well. Some people have struggled to call it a horror film. And I wouldn't struggle. I mean, it is a horror film because it deals with horrific things, as a lot of horror films do, but it's not a fantastical film. And it's more about the grief, or what grief will make you believe and what it will do to you. In the last third, again, without trying to spoil things, supernatural elements are drawn into it, but never to the point that you know what's going on. It never tells you what's going on, and even by the end of the film, you're left to draw your own conclusions. You don't really know exactly what a ritual that you've seen at the start was in relation to the story of the film, and how this was actually brought about to the kids, how Sally Hawkins was going to use these rituals to help her grief ease and to help what has happened to her be more accepted. It's tough to talk about without spoiling it, but all I can say is it's a fantastic horror film. It's really, really well acted. The atmosphere and the sound design are really, really cool. And I think it's probably up there with one of the best, not horror films, but certainly one of the best films that I've seen this year. And the Philippo brothers, if they keep making movies like this, I think, you know, they're really drawing an audience as it is, and they've certainly been accepted by the horror community. But however you get a chance to see this, if you manage to catch it at a local cinema, or if you're wait until the digital platforms, then however you see it, I would really advise you see it, because it's definitely worth your while. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I would suggest bringing an extra pair of underpants, because there are some scenes in this film that involve teeth and a knife where you'll think, fuck me. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Some people believe the spirit stays in the body for months after death. We can bring her back.